Well, I want to take this time to make a video about Peter Schiff, and many of you know who he is. He is an individual guru. He is the CEO of Europe Pacific Capital. And first of all, I have to mention that I appreciate that somebody is giving out a lot of advice, tips, forecasts about a lot of markets. But the fact of the matter is that his track record isn't really clean at all. But I can't say that it's 100% terrible, because some things he got right, but again, it's not too clean enough that you can find this guy very reliable, as a matter of fact. Now, many of you know Peter Schiff, that he's been laughed, he's been humiliated. About 7-8 years ago, in the mid to late 2000s, that he forecasted that the real estate market was going to crash. A lot of people didn't believe him, not to mention that he mentioned that home values are going to crash, and a lot of these things happen. And of course, a lot of these analysts can be right on some things. But once you go further with them, and of course they are right on a few things to just prove, oh, they're right about something, so I might be right on other things. But once you go further, and when you went further, around that time period, what was his investment recommendations? Was he recommending to short Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac? Was he recommending to get out of the financials? What type of investments was he actually recommending? Well, according to my research, he was recommending clients to get into mining equities, which actually plunged in 2008. In some cases, plunged even more than the Dow Jones, as a matter of fact. So he might be right on one thing, but on the other hand, what he's telling you to get into is just kind of toxic. It's kind of a trap, as a matter of fact. Now, he was right that if you get into gold and silver, it's going to be bullish. Of course, it was bullish in 2009, 2010, and the first half of 2011. However, since then, in mid-2011, he hasn't been helping us, or he hasn't been giving us reliable advice on what is the best thing we can do in precious metals, because since mid-2011, precious metals have fallen. Where were you, Peter Schiff? I mean, you should know better. You should have the ability to understand what's going on. So again, he's right on certain things, but then when you go further with him, you end up reaching a horrible trap. As a matter of fact, he kept parroting precious metals, foreign equities since mid-2011, and both of them have underperformed Dow Jones, NASDAQ, S&P. There could have been a lot of opportunities, and not just in equities like Yahoo, Ford. Even the home builders were quite beneficial, as a matter of fact. As far as I can tell you, he just keeps preaching that, oh, the dollar is going to collapse. We're going to see becoming one of the worst currencies in the world. We're going to see hyperinflation. And believe me, I didn't really buy into his claims so much. I mean, yes, I admitted that we were going to see somewhat of a currency crisis. We're going to see high cost of living. But I hardly ever mention hyperinflation. And of course, it looks like he's doing that to just scare you. I don't know if he's either wrong or he's really trying to just scare you in order to buy something to get you slaughtered. Now, one thing I do have to agree with him is that the bond markets have nowhere else to go but up in terms of the rates. And of course, we are seeing that. It did pass 2% recently. Yes, they are overdue. They've been going in the same direction for about 30 to 35 years. I understand that. But then you are, again, misleading on some other things. You keep mentioning that stocks are being pumped up because of quantitative easing, 0% interest rates. Yes, that might be some of the reason. But another thing you're not telling people is because of earnings. Earnings are higher. Usually earnings beats estimates. You don't tell people that, Peter. So you're kind of misleading. And of course, you don't tell them what QE really is. You know what QE really is? It's a secret bailout for the banks. Duh. I wonder why you don't really tell them that, Peter. Maybe it's because you're with the banks. Maybe you're just trying to cover them up. You're just one of those puppets. It's just remarkable to see how this guy really does his things, and people continue to just follow him like lamb. They really continue to worship the guy. And when I look at this, like Occupy Wall Street, this is where you really lost my support. And look, I understand Occupy Wall Street is not getting some things right. But the fact that you went there, and when you were talking to those people, you were kind of angry. You were kind of frustrated, as a matter of fact. I'm thinking, like, why are you raising your voice quite a bit with these people? What did they do to you? Did they hurt you? Did they ruin your life? Maybe it's because when they're protesting, they're actually making you look bad. Maybe the fact is you're trying to stand up for those Wall Street crooks. And based on my research, considering the fact that you are Jewish, and a lot of these investors are Jewish, these so-called elites that have a lot of power and money, it does give me a lot of puzzle pieces to really put in the deal and make me understand what is going on. And you're someone who just talks a lot, you cut people off, you go on and on your interviews, you act like you're a know-it-all. Remember how you did about the National Inflation Association, which you are a lot like the National Inflation Association, despite the fact that NIA got a lot of information from you. In other words, some of your advice is right, but then on the other hand, a lot of things you recommend end up going in the toilet. That is your track record. You can deny all you want, but it is true as a matter of fact. Because basically, the bottom line is, Peter, you're just a salesperson. You're just a person who's just trying to promote Euro and Pacific equities, because that's your company, Euro Pacific Capital. That is exactly who you really, really are, as a matter of fact. So you're kind of a salesperson, and I just heard you recently mentioning the fact that gold is bottoming. Gold is bottoming. Okay, you might be right, and we can rebound from there. But is it going to take off to the levels that you keep parroting about? I don't think so. Sure, there are bullish opportunities, but I don't see it as bullish as you are. So, looking at what you just recently mentioned and looking at your track record, I can't really believe you as well. I don't even know why all of you just keep buying into his theories. I've mentioned before, I just listen to them. I don't necessarily hear the way they want for them to be heard. So that's the thing you have to understand. My goodness. Just do your own analysis. I think if you just do your own research, you'll be better off without these gurus. I mean, he's just being promoted by CNBC every 2 or 3 days or something. Just wake up. Just understand what's going on.